Hey there, I hope you're doing well, and today I bring to you 6 Reddit stories from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? And while I do that, and I am playing Minecraft, I'm currently working on a little bit of a base down here, so if you decide not to tab out while you hear my voice, this is what I will be doing. Anyways, I do hope that you enjoy. So the first story goes as follows. Am I the a-hole for buying all the hot and ready pizzas from a local gas station? I live in a very rural area, so gas stations are crossed between gas stations, convenience stores, and small restaurants. One of the gas stations I frequent has really good personal pan pizzas, and they're decently priced. My whole family enjoys them when we get them, and everyone was home this afternoon. So I decided to pick some up since I happen to be near this gas station. It was just about 2 p.m., and they had 6 personal pizzas ready. Knowing my family, this is the perfect amount. They also had different kinds of pizza, and since we like to mix and match, I decided to grab them all. The food service person looked at me and said, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I was a little stunned, and I just said, "Huh." They proceeded to tell me that I was an a-hole for taking all the pizzas. I explained they were going to my family and not just for myself. They said it's not an excuse to take all the pizzas. I was bewildered and asked, "Isn't the purpose of making them to sell them?" The food service worker looked at the cashier and said, "You can make some frickin' more. I'm going outside for a smoke." That's a bit over exaggerated if you ask me. It's just pizza, man. It's just pizza. It's nothing special. Anyways, the cashier didn't say anything to the food service worker or me. Rang me up, bagged the food, and gave me my receipt. Good. At least the cashier knows what minding his own business is. As I was walking to my vehicle, I could hear the food service worker talking to somebody on the phone about, "This dummy thinks it's a damn buffet." The whole thing left a sour taste in my mouth, and while driving home, I kept thinking to myself, am I the a-hole for buying all those pizzas? So Reddit, am I the a-hole? No, you just came across some guy who was having a bad day and decided to throw a temper tantrum about it. I'm sure making 6 pizzas really isn't that hard, even if they are big pizzas. Like, I sometimes make pizzas at home. It takes me 10 minutes at most. And that also includes taking everything out of the fridge, preparing it, and then putting it on the pizza. But if you're working at like a restaurant or whatever this is, I'm sure it takes 2 or 3 minutes to make one pizza. It is not that big deal, and it's not worth crashing out over. So let's see what people have to say about this. Somebody says you should have sat in the parking lot and waited for the next 6 pizzas to be ready, then gone and bought all 6 of those. NTA, but I am. I'm sure you are. I mean, that sounds like something like my dad would do, for example, you know? It's a way to get a rise out of somebody. Is it a good way to get a rise out of somebody? No. Let's give the food worker the benefit of the doubt and maybe he just wasn't having a good day. In all honesty, would this be something I would do? No. Would I suggest you do it? No. But if you were really feeling like an a-hole, then sure, go for it. Somebody else responds with, "I feel like that would have broken them." Yep, completely just self-destruct. But yeah, don't do that. I mean, you bought 6 pizzas. If that's all you need, then that's all you need. Move on with your day. But everything else is just a large conversation here. If you'd like to read the rest, there will be a link to this Reddit story in the description. But let's move on to the next story. Alright, so the next story we got, am I the a-hole for not wanting to contribute to a grocery budget that I won't eat from? I, 18 female, am moving into an apartment with Missy, 19 female, and Taylor, 17 female. It's a 2-bedroom because that's what we can afford. Taylor was the one who picked it out, and she divided our rent up, and she's by far the most motivated to move out due to a family situation, which is why she allowed us to move out with her. She split it evenly 3 ways, which I raised the question about because Missy and me are sharing a room, but she said that she would cover the groceries, and we agreed. However, now that we both moved in, she sent us a sample grocery list and how much she wants each of us to pay. Didn't she just say she didn't want you guys to pay for that? That's a little hypocritical. Continues to say, she wants me to pay $200 a month for my portion. I don't even have $200 extra a month. And not to mention, that entire grocery list was full of things I won't eat. It was all junk food, and it also included a few things I'm allergic to. I'm struggling with an eating disorder right now, so I don't eat very much, and therefore, I don't want to be contributing to the grocery budget, especially for groceries that I won't eat. That is totally fair. I mean, if you're spending $200 a month, whether this is American, Canadian, I don't know, wherever you're from, $200 a month is a big sum, especially when you're moved out. Like, that money can go somewhere else, and especially if she promised that she would pay for it, that's a big problem. Anyways, Missy doesn't mind paying for the groceries since she does a lot of cooking, but she does think the cost is a bit high. I mean, $200 a month per person, it's about $600 a month. I don't know if that's average, but I feel like that's a bit excessive, especially if you're paying that money towards stuff you're not actually going to eat. That is a bit much. I told Taylor that I wouldn't be contributing because I neither had the money nor will be eating the food. Missy backed me up and said that it wasn't fair to expect me to pay when I'll eat almost nothing on that list, and suggested that everybody just buys their own groceries. Missy is an absolute genius. Just buy your own food, and if you want to share something, share something. Easiest way to go about it is have a fridge, label the things with your name that you want. But if it's not labeled, then it's free game. I feel like that's the fairest way to go. Label the stuff that you bought or equally distribute the amount of space in the fridge to like each person. So like this person gets this much space, this person gets this much space, etc. Instead of all having one combined grocery list that isn't agreed upon everybody. It's probably cheaper that way too, just to buy your own food. Anyways, Taylor got really mad and went on this whole tangent on how I need to be contributing to the apartment and how my eating disorder isn't a excuse and how I'm a big a-hole about it because the apartment costs need to be a team effort and I'm letting it all fall on her and how we should be sharing groceries because it's too expensive for her to afford on her own and that groceries cost way more than I thought. So am I the a-hole for not wanting to buy the groceries I won't eat? It just seems like she's trying to get us to subsidize parts of her groceries out of the three of us, and the list was full of foods that she liked and not necessarily catered to us as a group. No, you're not the a-hole. Missy had an amazing idea about just buy whatever groceries you want to buy, and I feel like with my idea of just splitting the fridge, brilliant idea on its own. But if we go back to the beginning and reread a little bit, here's what it says. But she said she'd cover the groceries, and we agreed. I feel like that alone is just like, hey, what the heck is going on here? You invite us into your house, we will pay rent, we'll pay this and that. But if you promise that you'll pay for the groceries, then what's the deal here? Just to be met with, oh, I can't afford the groceries. So I'm gonna put a bunch of stuff on a list that I like, but you guys might not. But we're all gonna now mutually agree to pay for it because you're stuck here. In this case, I would just say get up and leave. I mean, you don't have to be around that. If she's telling you one thing and doing something completely different, that's just narcissistic on its own. Let's read what some other people have to say. This person says, NTA, the agreement was that she paid for the groceries, right? That was why you agreed to paying the same rent, even though you have to share a room with somebody else. She's gonna back down on her word, and if she isn't paying for groceries, your rent should go down. That is pretty smart. I mean, I wonder how much she is paying in rent, and also this bug is still flying around. It's like a baby fly. I want to kill it, but part of me doesn't. It's just walking on my desk. Anyways, I'm getting a little distracted here. They continue to say, if there's time to get out of this, do so. Edit. A little life advice. In the future, hammer out all the details before you're committed and write them down. Don't accept vague promises like I'm paying for the groceries, because they can be gamed. If you think the rent isn't fair, say so up front, and don't agree, just get along. It's better to miss an opportunity than end up in a situation like this. This person says you and the person you're sharing a room with shouldn't be paying 1/3 of the rent each. If you're going to split groceries, then everyone makes and agrees to the list. The best way to split groceries is to figure out the household needs, like toilet paper, pantry items, trash bags, food, etc., and figure out the food thing everyone eats and drinks together, so everybody at least has something they enjoy. Those are the things that get split. If the split needs to be adjusted based on how much each individual uses, that can be talked about. Other than that, everyone is responsible for their own groceries. Everyone gets their own cabinet, and there's a shared cabinet space if there's enough room for that. This is just a good general way to deal with things. This living situation already isn't looking good or fair. You haven't moved in yet, speak up. Don't just accept things, especially because someone else needs to get out of their current living situation. If it's not fair, speak up. If someone refuses to talk about things, will only accept their way, belittle you, and clearly take advantage of you, and when you see this happening before moving in, don't do it. It won't go or end well. Never hesitate to speak up. If you find that for whatever reason you're reluctant to say something about how arrangements work, that's another reason to rethink living with that person. Let me get a response saying, yep, rent should be 50, 25, 25, and utilities should be split 3 ways. Since you're eating different things, either you buy all your own groceries and get your own shelves and cupboards, or you agree on shared groceries. She doesn't get to dictate the grocery list and split them 3 ways. This is totally off topic from the grocery list, but yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Splitting it 50, 25, 25, instead of going 3 ways evenly. Like, your friend is the one who owns the apartment, and she's the one welcoming you into it. Just to proceed to put you in a room with somebody else, and then expects you to pay 1/3 of the rent. Like, no. You pay for your amount of rent. I feel like 25% of the rent is good enough, especially when you only get half a room to yourself instead of an entire room. But yeah, after all these comments, you are not the a-hole. So the next story is my in-laws sent my son home in a new jacket, but then took it back because it was theirs. I criticized this behavior, so am I the a-hole? This is a very interesting title. Jeez. The in-laws are very much we raised our kids, we're not raising yours type. They're not really involved in much aside from taking my son for a few hours here and there about twice a month. His face is plastered all over their socials, and most of the pictures are stolen from me and my posts. I very much envy the active grandparents. My parents are dead. Last night, they watched him at their place and dropped him off. As they dropped him off, he arrived wearing a new jacket. Super cute. The in laws were proud of it, boasting. They took it off my son and said he can't keep it. They paid for it, it's theirs, and they want him to have it at their home. But with how things are, he may not even wear this jacket again before he outgrows it. It's not like they're taking him to a park or anything. They absolutely do not help us providing in any sense. Like, I didn't even get a baby shower. Yeah, no, that's just crazy. These in-laws are complete jackasses. I'm sorry that these are the type of people you have to deal with, and I'm sorry that the kid doesn't get to enjoy things that he wants, unless it's in the way of the in-laws who apparently want control over everything in this scenario. So yeah, so far you're not looking to be the a-hole. I just feel really bad that your child has to deal with this nonsense. Let's continue on to the story and see what it has to say. I said nothing until they left. Ultimately, my partner defends everything his parents do. Nothing new. I shouldn't have bothered saying anything. I know it's just a jacket, but this isn't anything new. Christmas and birthdays are another example. They gift him so much, but they won't allow him to take a single thing home. I'm then taking my son home as he's crying over the gifts he doesn't get to play with. Then they complain about how things go unused, while they're the ones who want so little to do with any of us. Furthermore, this kind of just goes to the point of the in-laws where it's like, how are you going to buy a child something and then be like, yeah, we own it, so in the end of the day, we're the ones who can actually tell you what to do with it. That's just wrong. Especially to a kid. Let the kid have some fun, man. Jeez. There's no other children in the family, just my near 3-year-old. He's 3? Wow, that changes a lot in many aspects. That's a little boy. He's still growing. He doesn't even know what consciousness is. And he's getting his jacket and all his toys taken away from him for no reason? Yeah, I'd see why he's upset. The sister-in-law who's 30 lives in the home and has never had a partner and is the biggest idiot I know, but wants a child. The idea is that one day she'll have a baby through insemination and then raise it in a home with her parents. So really, everything that's bought for my son actually belongs to her non-existent children. I've told my partner that I wish my mom wasn't dead. That despite how she abused me, I feel like she would have been much more loving towards my son than she was with me, and more than his emotionally void mother. The in-laws have also been emotionally abusive towards my partner and I, even demanding their son to leave me while I was pregnant, or they wouldn't be a part of his family anymore. So yeah, I can't see past that stuff. Am I the a-hole? I don't think so. I think the in-laws are the big problem here for not letting your kid enjoy life, and they assume that everything they buy for the child is technically permanently theirs. Like, that's just wrong. That is just wrong in so many ways. There is an edit. The edit says, we're in therapy and may be separating. I've exhausted myself trying to stuff out this behavior and toxic environment. I'm taking steps to leave this whole entire situation, but didn't add all of this for the sake of focusing on the jacket scenario. I'm told that I'm abusive because I'm trying to control everyone, when really I just want better treatment for my son. All you're doing is protecting your child. That has nothing to do with being abusive. I don't know where that came from, who told you that, but whoever did is completely wrong. The in-laws are just causing a bunch of drama for whatever reason they want to. It's just because they can't let go of things that they bought the child and assume that because we bought it, then we have all the control over the child and this, and that. It's just not cool. But yeah, you're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole at all. Let's read what other people have to say. This person says, why are you exposing your child to their emotional abuse? He's learning that they only love him when they can control him. He'll develop insecurities because his gifts don't even belong to him. He's got no agency to his grandparents. He's just an accessory to them. That poor kid, NTA for calling it out, but you are the asshole for letting it continue over the years. I can sympathize with this because, I mean, it has been going on for years, but the kid's only 3. How long has it actually been going on for to the point where he's conscious about it? So, mixed opinions on this one. I would say that the person who wrote the story initially is not the a-hole. All they were doing is trying to protect their child and nothing more. Up then responds with, that's fair, I don't want my son around them at all, really. We're currently in couples therapy and maybe separating. Which we heard in the edit that this was going on, which I mean is good for them, but bad for the child, because separation can be a big thing for a child, especially at a young age. That could really hurt somebody. At the end of the day, I feel like it's her husband's parents who are the big problem, and maybe just eliminating them instead of eliminating the husband could be a better option. Because if we get rid of the main cause, it kind of trickles down to there being less problems, and eventually you'll get over it, right? But yeah, no, this person's not the a-hole. Let's move on to the next story. Alright, so here's how this next Reddit story goes. It says, am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with my boyfriend for not wanting to marry me? This is an interesting topic. Not a topic I should be reading, but here we go. I, 26 female, my boyfriend, 26 male, have been dating for about 6 months. But before that, we were in a friendship that has lasted 2.5 years. When we started dating, I made it clear to him that I didn't want to go out with someone I couldn't marry in the future. I had already been through many toxic short-lived relationships, so I thought it was time to settle down. I'm glad that you mentioned what you wanted before actually jumping into a big relationship. Just saying, hey, I want to date to marry, so if you don't like me like that, then please don't bother with me. That's good on you. Good on you. He accepted, saying that he was planning the same. Oh, that's good. See, both paths work. You guys have been friends for a while, and you guys both want to get married to each other. That's good. Good for you. I'm proud. A few weeks ago, we went to a mutual friend's wedding, and I grabbed the bouquet. So my friends joked and said that it was time for him to get on his knees, which we both denied while laughing because our relationship is still very new. But when he was bringing me back home, he was serious and even uncomfortable. When I asked what was wrong, he said, I don't know if I want to get married, to which I told him it was fine, thinking that he was saying it because of our friends. But he ended up adding, with you. Alright, so how are you going to go from agreeing to want to get married to each other to being like, I don't know if I want to get married with you? I feel like that's a good enough reason to just walk away, because I feel as soon as that spark of, yeah, let's get married, this, and that, runs away and just disappears, that relationship is going to slowly trickle to an end one way or another. The story continues and says, that left a bad taste in my mouth. Although I didn't plan on pursuing him with that subject anytime soon, since I wanted to take it easy, but it did hurt. He's my best friend and I'm genuinely in love with him, so I inevitably imagined a future with him. Besides, it was something that was on the table from the first moment in our relationship. Now he continues acting as if nothing happened, being his romantic self, but can't help thinking that a relationship has an expiration date. And I thought that more than once about ending this relationship before it's too late. So, am I the a-hole? I don't think you are, personally. I mean, if he made a commitment to you since you first started dating, up until now, saying how you'll be together forever and create that bond through marriage, and then goes on to say that he doesn't want to be married, I feel like he's trying to leave his options open. It's kind of like saying, I like you, I'm going to keep you around, but if I find somebody better, I'm going to throw you in the ditch. Personally, I would just say run away, find somebody better who isn't like this, and move on. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. This person says, NTA, he's pretty much told you that you're a filler while he's waiting for something better to come along. You'd be foolish to invest more time into him. Yes, you've only dated for a short time, but after being that close for 2 years, he should know if he sees a future with you or not. It sounds like he just got with you because you were there, not because you were who he wanted. This comment does say a lot. It says how you guys have known each other for 2.5 years, which I mean is a long time. And also on top of that, another 6 months, so you've pretty much known each other for 3 years. And if he doesn't know that he wants to be with you after that long of a time, then you're definitely just a filler, I'm sorry to say. But your best bet is to run and find somebody who actually appreciates you for who you are and actually wants to create a life with you. So yeah, just move on. Anyways, on to the next story. The story that I got for you is, am I the a-hole for refusing to join my coworker's mandatory birthday gift pool? I joined the new team 3 months ago. On day 1, they added me to a group chat called Birthdays. HR doesn't run it. It's just a senior coworker who collects money whenever someone has a birthday. The suggested amount is $25 per person each time. There are 22 people in the group. That's potentially hundreds every few months for cupcakes and a gift card that I'll never see again. Last month, I paid twice for people who I've never spoken to because I didn't want to be the weird new hire. This month, 3 more birthdays popped up. That's $75 on top of rising commute costs and everything else. I think that's a little absurd. Why are you giving money to practical strangers? Like, yeah, they're on your team of other people you work with, but if you don't really know them, why do you have to feel the obligation of having to pay somebody money? I think that's a little stupid. The story continues and says, I told the organizer I'd rather opt out and give individually to close coworkers. She replied, it's mandatory. Everyone contributes and it's about team culture. And I said, I'm happy to sign the card and bring homemade cookies, but I'm not doing a standing payment. I like my team and I'm not anti-birthday. I just don't want a reoccurring bill for people I barely know. Am I the a-hole for refusing the mandatory pool, or is this boundary unreasonable? I think this boundary is completely unreasonable. I don't know why you should feel obligated to give somebody else money, especially if you don't know them. It's just, I feel like you shouldn't be around those people. If you really wanted to give a gift to somebody, you should just go up to them personally and be like, here's a gift card. Here's some money. Go buy yourself a coffee or new clothes or something. That's just my 2 cents. Let's see what other people have to say. Somebody says calling it mandatory is way out of line, especially when they're not run by HR. People shouldn't be pressured into spending money on things that they're not comfortable with. Exactly. I mean, it's really not a company policy. I feel like I should have outlined this sooner. It's not a company policy when HR doesn't mention it. If it's just your coworker being, yeah, we're doing this, it's more of a gesture of kindness. At the end of the day, you don't have to follow it. Nobody's going to fire you because you're not giving somebody $25 for your birthday. But yeah, I feel like that sums up this story. You are not the a-hole. Let's move on to the last one. So the last story that I got for you today is, am I the a-hole for telling an autistic person that their disability isn't an excuse for not paying for the services? I work as a server in a restaurant. A couple of nights ago, I had a couple in their 30s come in around 2 a.m. As I took their order, the husband mentioned that all the food had to be on separate plates for his wife, as she is autistic and will not eat food from the same plate. They then proceeded to order. She wanted a kids meal, however, restaurant policy states that kids meals can only be bought for kids. I explained this policy and explained that everything on the kids menu is available to adults for a slightly higher price. Combined, it all came out to $1.50 more in price. The husband agrees and sent the order to the kitchen. So far, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, some people are sensitive with certain things, and sometimes there's always ways to work around it. And then this way, it's just keeping the food separate. Nothing wrong with that at all. We were a little busier than normal, as it's homecoming weekend, and we had lots of big parties. About 20 minutes pass and the husband flags me down and states that his wife is having a panic attack and they need to pay for their drink and leave. I ask for 1 second to make the kitchen aware that the order is no longer needed, and he agrees. When I go to the kitchen, I'm told the food is already prepared, so I ask for it to be boxed up to go. I return to the floor, explain that the food has been prepared, and I'm having it boxed up and ready to go for them. The wife then states because of her panic attack, she's not able to eat. I explain that I'm sorry that she had a panic attack, but as they came into the restaurant, ordered the food, and that it was already prepared, they would be expected to pay for the services. However, I would compensate their drinks if they would like. She then asked why she would have to pay for the food that she wouldn't be able to consume, and I simply stated that once the food was ordered and cooked, the company is required compensation for service rendered, and that even if they were to stay in the restaurant and not eat any of the food and leave it on the table, they would still be expected to pay for what they had ordered. She then restated that she had a panic attack and that I should have recognized that she was having a medical episode, to which I replied I'm a server and not a trained medical provider, and that if she was being escorted out of the restaurant on a stretcher, then I would make an exception. But as she was currently speaking to me coherently, I failed to see how her medical condition warranted her not paying her bill. So in short, we have a lady here who's using her medical emergency to get out of paying for food. I mean, I could somewhat sympathize. I understand that people have things come up, but at the same time, you already ordered the food and you had the restaurant make it for you. Just pay for it and then leave. If it's hard to do that, have your husband escort you out of the building, sit you down in the car, or whatever it may be, come back, pay, get the food, and leave. It's not that big of a deal. Story continues to say, today I received a complaint that they filed out with our corporate office, saying that I discriminated against them by making them pay for food that the wife wouldn't be able to consume due to her having a panic attack induced by her autism. I'm no expert or anything, but I don't know how having a panic attack can change your entire mindset of eating food. You walked into the restaurant, ordered it, but now that you're having a panic attack, you can no longer eat it. Like, take it home for lunch or whatever. You gotta pay for the food. It's there. Pay for it. Have it another time, and if you can't have it, the husband can have it for lunch or something. But yeah, I think that's just a little over the top. It continues to say, however, I would have done the same with any customer, regardless of who they are. I actually think that making an exception for them solely because she is disabled would have been a form of discrimination, as would be treating her differently than I would treat others solely because of her disability. So my question is, am I the a-hole for not making an exception, or did I do the right thing by having them pay for the food they ordered? Personally, I would say you're not the a-hole. I mean, the food was there, it was ready, it was cooked, and the ingredients were already used. You can't reverse time and put everything back, so they're paying for the ingredients pretty much, and there's nothing wrong with getting the food. You came to the restaurant expecting to pay for food. Pay for it. It's not that serious. I don't know why there has to be such a big deal about it. Let's see what other people have to say. This person says, so she had a panic attack, but stayed in the restaurant to argue about not paying for her meal. That clearly was not an emergency. She sounds like a nightmare who is totally enabled by the husband. This person responds with, not a panic attack, I've gotten them, and all I can think about is getting to a safe place, either a car or home, to let it run through its courses. My ability to argue with someone is nil because my brain is telling me to run away. This person says, so she overcame the panic attack so she can argue about the bill. NTA, and those two are running a scam. Totally fair. I mean, I'm glad that somebody actually realized that they were probably doing something other than it being a panic attack. Like, there's no excuse to not pay for your food. Anyways, that's all the Reddit stories I got for you today. A little bit of a shorter one. I just worked on my house a little bit. Didn't get everything I wanted done. But if you did enjoy, please feel free to subscribe or leave a comment. It just helps boost this video into the algorithm and gets more people to watch it. But that's it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and or night, depending on where you are in the world and whatever time you're watching this. And I'll read some more stories to you guys in the next video. Take care.